Hello, and welcome to another week of the Abuse Cartoons podcast, or not podcast, live stream. Welcome to the live stream. I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh, excuse me. Wow. Okay, so same unpredictable time, same unpredictable day. We're doing the live stream. But if you want to watch more of this or want to actually see this not live, it's in the archive on both Twitch and YouTube under Abuse Cartoons. So please have a look for that. And if this is the first time that you're joining me, welcome and thank you for watching. So this is a weekly live stream that I use to produce the two single panel gag cartoons I do for Go Comics called Domestic Abuse. And yeah, it's little inanimate objects with going through like little personal crises. It's just a lot of awkward social interaction and yeah, things like that. So hopefully that sounds interesting. I never know when I'm doing this live stream how things are going to go, as far as if an idea is going to come and what it's going to be. So I usually just start things with a little bit of warming up. So just draw, various objects and try to find something that kind of triggers something or just kind of makes sense together, or doesn't make sense together, has a little odd look. So that's what this is about, and you'll see me doing a lot of undoing because my pressure is not set well. But yeah, so I've been doing this cartoon for about 18 years now, since 2002. And it was syndicated, I believe, 2004, so that's when I started to appear regularly on Go Comics, and yeah, for a while it was daily. Probably for the first 5 years of its existence, it was a daily cartoon, and I had to kind of step things back from there because syndication is nice, but we're now in the world of mostly digital syndication, so it's not the compensation it used to be, and there aren't newspapers looking for any new cartoons. Especially maybe this style. So I stepped back to just Tuesdays and Thursdays about 10 years ago. And that's what I've been doing. And I still enjoy, it's a great, still a great creative outlet. But I just can't give it as much time. I've considered, because there's a Patreon, so if you go to patreon.com/abusecartoons, you can support the cartoon, and I've considered just going back to daily and then putting it behind a Patreon and just kind of releasing it more slowly through the syndicator. But I don't know. I don't know if that would generate enough interest, and it would be, it would step up to the few days a week of like full-time producing. And yeah, so if that happens, if you're interested in that, please take a look at Patreon and make that happen. But I think the market now is very, saturated as far as webcomics, and a lot of people are doing some pretty epic stuff in the webcomic arena. So I think expectations have been raised as far as, storytelling and the art production and everything for webcomics. Oh, and some people are still keeping it simple. But you can't, it really is one of the most immediate kind of connecting mediums. And I think that's why people make some awkward mistakes with their personal politics or whatever in webcomics, is because it is so easy to get your idea out there and be all proud of yourself for trying to get people to agree with your opinion. But yeah, so these cartoons stays fairly politically neutral. You don't really see any huge overpowering commentary, and that's probably why it's not on the tip of everybody's tongue, is because that's how people are getting attention now, is getting you stirred up with their nonsense. But come on. Yeah, the pressure is not my friend this week. Yeah, it's really looking odd. Yeah, it's funny. Depending on the last time I restarted and the last time there was an update and all kinds of things, everything gets a little bit different each time. So that's a little bit of a frustration, because I still don't think Wacom and Cintiq have worked out their differences. I can't even imagine being a company smaller than Wacom and trying to negotiate, or I guess you just have to pay the money that Microsoft wants to get certified, get Windows certified, and be somewhat compatible with what they're doing. But if they've got something like that Inkspace stupidity that's going on, that I think they were pushing for their Surface devices, Surface tablets and laptops. Oh, sorry. Oh, no sleep. But yeah, so that's been a real pain to keep my settings kind of how I want them. For doing this every week, I come back to all kinds of differences, because this machine also, I do a lot of production, video production and audio production for the Idle Hands podcast, so that gets things shifted around from week to week. If this was only a cartoon machine, that would be beautiful. Okay. Oh boy. All right, let me just take a quick look and make sure everything appears to be streaming. All right. Great. So now it's just a matter of finding something that I want to write about. Yeah, so we have the worldwide scare of the coronavirus, and the World Health Organization saying it's not a pandemic yet. It's not anything you need to worry about quite yet. We're going to wait for some more deaths. Yeah, and I don't take any comfort living this close to China with all the heightened tourism that's been going on lately. I don't want there to be cases of spread here. Yeah, there's so much tourism now. But over the holiday, though, it's the Lunar New Year now. So over the holiday, it's been reduced. So that's good. I don't know what's going on here. Brr. See if I can get this to look a little better. I don't think this extreme angle is very good. Yeah, I don't know if this angle is quite what I want. Well, it sounds like everybody. I haven't heard any EU reports, but every other country is receiving the Chinese from that area, or people that have visited China from that area, coming down with the disease. Yeah, definitely some odd pressure thing. It's either me or the settings are a little odd. Yeah, I'm getting a real strange response. I'm going like weirdly lighter than I usually do to get a thinner line. Who knows? Oh boy. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, let me know in the comments if anything seems not right. Microphone, everything sounds pretty okay as far as levels, but let me know if that's not true. And yeah, we'll keep at this. I watched the new. It's on Amazon. I thought it was going to be on CBS or something, but I guess maybe that's only North America, or no, maybe that's only America. But I'm not sure. But watch the new Star Trek Picard series, and I'm starting to like understand the frustration and anger, because Star Trek fans had that before Star Wars started being dismantled. And I was surprised by how passionate and all the F words that went into people's reviews and comments on New Trek. But then when it happened to Star Wars, I started to empathize, because it's a miserable feeling. So watch the new Picard, and it's nice to see someone with some gravitas and screen presence actually back on television. Patrick Stewart is quite old, but still interesting to watch and interesting to listen to. But the writing seems off, just like everything. I don't know what's happened to writing, or it's just certain people have been able to call themselves writers and convince executives of it and just get away with nonsense. But I mean, they've had, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense, because they've had talented, award-winning people working on stuff, and it just doesn't make any sense. But then again, maybe not a lot of science fiction writers, so that might be the problem. And it also just might be the political age that we're in that is so toxic to anybody doing anything. Okay. Oh, there's some other weird stuff. All right. Let's see if I can do this. No. Yeah, that's way too much. Oh, and I was watching, rewatched, I think I saw it in art school for a sound for film class, but Tarkovsky's Stalker. And I hadn't seen that in a while, and just, I mean, his movies are just beyond anything. And I don't know if it's my age now, but they just hit me really, really hard. And I don't mind, and it's actually like refreshing to have that quiet, kind of just characters pondering and just going off on little, rants and self-exploration and accusing other characters of, not being true to themselves or having valid ideas. And I look at it's nice and challenging, and that movie visually is just so stunning. And I guess the places that they had to film to get that, all of the old abandoned factories and places, I think Ukraine, Eastern Europe, and around that area, just it's amazing. And I can't believe like some of the water and things that the actors climbed into. It was frightening. I hope a lot of that was manufactured, but I don't think it was. I mean, there's just like weird dried paint floating on top of murky water and all kinds of weird chemical combinations, and it's pretty nasty looking, but so beautiful. I mean, so otherworldly for being something that they had just found. These are just locations that they scouted, and really, really beautiful. And I really liked, forgotten about that, kind of the tracking shot where it will just like kind of start with something, and it's like objects underwater, and it just adds one to another. So you're seeing like, machinery and manufactured parts and things against nature, against, shell casings and things, just the opposing those things against each other, and just kind of, moving along so weirdly narrative and so, interesting. It really has a, the theme just from those images comes across really strong. And there's I guess I won't spoil anything, but if you haven't seen it, the final images, with the kind of koi fish at the end is, really amazing and really, really striking. And I forgot. And I also love Solaris, although I heard that that's the director's least favorite film personally, because he thought that the sci-fi, the genre of it was just too constricting, and he couldn't do some of the things that he wanted to do. It just didn't work in that genre. But after watching Stalker again, realizing like the Soderbergh Solaris is such a, baby's first philosophical movie or whatever. It just like it's so weak. I mean, there's some visual like homage or nods to Tarkovsky, but the content, I mean, just Stalker is just amazing. And then I watched a kind of a survey of his other film, or his whole career, and talking about each of the films, and just just amazing. Just even from as a student, he was so striking, and so just was doing things with film that were so amazing. And this is like 60s, 70s Soviet Russia. It's amazing, the movies he was able to make. And I guess like Dostoevsky, a devout Christian, so that's why that it plays so heavily. Why, God and religion and spirituality plays so heavily in the theming. But yeah, just wow. So if you haven't seen any of his movies, and you can, and it's okay to read, it's okay to read subtitles. It's definitely worth it. It's amazing stuff. I think they've done, like Criterion's done new translations too. So some of that, you can see a lot of his films on YouTube, but there's some pretty wonky translations sometimes. But just yeah, visually and the sound, because that was the first way that I was introduced to those movies. Pay attention to the sound and what he's able to do with like complete silence, and then just, I don't think it's, it may have been captured audio from that area, that place, but it's a real weird balance between what they call diegetic and non-diegetic, like something in the picture is making the sound, and then the sound is soundtrack. It's playing over, and there's some really amazing things that definitely isn't what the objects in the picture, the sound that they're making, but it fits perfectly, and it's just like a hyper real or a exaggerated version of that, especially the sound of trains and like metal scraping in water. The rhythm of rain and water is huge. Yeah, it's so beautiful. Good stuff. But that got me to thinking, because I was also, the reason I went back to watch that is because I was also playing, maybe I mentioned this last week too, Metro 2033, and I like that setting of the Moscow subway tunnels, which were built as bomb shelters intentionally because they were constructed during the Cold War, and what that kind of meant and what it would be like to survive something down there, and then emerging and navigating those tunnels, and people are still going to be clashing with each other, and so in the game the different stations become outposts or kind of little settled areas, and each of them have different ideologies, some of them reverting back to Soviet communism, and in this game they include Nazis, Russian Nazis, which is a little odd, but they wanted to have some kind of opposing force, and maybe without bringing up America, or something that's too Cold War, to make it more alternative history. But it's very alternative history if you think that Russians would ever be Nazis or National Socialists. It's a little crazy after all they went through. But yeah, so that inspired me. So I really want to try to do a setting using the Year Zero engine, the same thing that powers the Alien RPG or Forbidden Lands or Mutant Year Zero. Try doing something like that, but having that spiritual ending, like having a reward. So the basic idea in Stalker is based on Roadside Picnic, written by the Russian brothers that write some amazing science fiction. And I think it has I'm not sure, I think it has a kind of relationship to the book that like The Shining has to the Stephen King book. It's more, it's just its own thing, but it has the same kind of structure. So the stalker is kind of the guy that leads these men who want to seek out the room, and the room is in the zone. And so the zone is this area that exists, and it's full of traps and very unpredictable, so you need a guide to lead you through it. And the room is a place where your innermost wish is fulfilled. And so it's kind of questioning, and has a little bit to do the same sort of idea that was in, and maybe that's what he was attracted to with both of the properties, both of the books, because they're Solaris and this are both based on books. Given exactly what you want, like the deepest thing inside you, the thing that you want the most, that you may not even know it's what you want, or it may, kind of show the kind of person you are. It might betray, some of your biases or obsessions or things like that. So in Solaris, your desires are manifested by this alien thing, this energy, and gotta stop drawing boxes. And so the room has that same idea of it will give you something. It will, it may not be what you think you want, or it may not be, you have kind of maybe a superficial idea of what you want or what would make you happy. But the deeper one, the deeper desire, what is actually stronger or more important to you may betray something about who you are. And so I like that idea, and I like the idea of not having named characters, but the characters, because they just call each other professor and like writer, and to have them just have these professions. So you take away gender; it's all based on their ability or what they're searching for. And so having these be like the names of characters, but also kind of their character class, and just if they're stronger in whichever aspects, having different motivations, and kind of come up with a goal. Like, the player should have the question that they want answered, or the thing that they want, the wish they want fulfilled in mind. And then so by the time you reach the end of the game, what is the outcome for that? What do you see in that room? What happens to you in that room? And I wanted to inform that by the things that the characters do on the way there. So come up with some sort of morality system, not morality system, but a reward system where things happen based on selflessness, or things that you do that kind of follow, kind of guidelines that I still need to come up with. But have that be, once you're over a certain threshold, that kind of opens up other things to happen in the room for you. So if you get the good ending or the bad ending, not that simple, but kind of that some of that video game kind of logic. But yeah, so that really inspired me to want to do that. But it's a difficult balance, because I don't want it to be so combat heavy, but I want it to be dangerous. And so people have guns, and maybe a little bit more like, so that is a little more like the Alien RPG. You're not going to be that capable. Your weapons are not going to be that strong. And if you face things, you will probably die. If you, attack threats head on, you're probably not going to do well. So it kind of emphasize self-defense and strategy and things. Yeah, but I want to make it interesting, and I want to, have it. So I'm thinking about what that game would look like and what that game would be, and I want to do something challenging. That because we were talking about we played a few sessions of the Alien game, and the endings have been rough. And a lot of it is my fault, either how I'm playing a character, or what the hidden agenda for characters that I played was, or how I ran it as the game mother, just making things kind of rough. I should have thought more about the fun way to kind of leave things hanging. But that one shot that ended up taking 8 hours and 4 nights did have a bit of fatigue built into it, so people were a little exhausted, and players could and couldn't attend at certain times. So that was weird, because if you switch in that game, if you switch players to non-player characters, then you're eliminating the stress rolls. They don't have to do stress rolls. You can kind of make those things happen if you want to, and they're also not doing consumable rolls and stuff, which I think was kind of a mistake, because then the flamethrower becomes this devastatingly powerful gun when it's not running out of ammo. All right. Huh. Yeah, but that was really nice to go back to kind of emerge. And there was also a game kind of more directly based on Roadside Picnic called Stalker, and they put periods between each letter to kind of separate it from the Tarkovsky property. But the same kind of idea, except it kind of blew things out with a little bit too much video game logic, where the zone is full of stalkers and they're all scavengers and may or may not be attacking each other and whatever, but they do have the kind of spiritual element to it. There's religion, but there's also kind of a spirit world, and the Metro game pushes that pretty hard. So there are kind of priests that have visions of the dead and see spirits and ghosts. Yikes. Oh, still this bang. Alright. Something like this. Maybe this needs to be... I always lose my concept of proportions of a soda can. All right. Yeah, I'm already thinking of something funny for this. I'm already getting too self-conscious about being misread. I'm trying to make a joke. It's ridiculous. The times we live in. But it's nice, I think, a lot of my audience is my age or more, so my mindset kind of matches in a lot of cases, so I don't have to worry about being hypersensitive, and people with hypersensitivity don't read my comic. Weird. Yeah, certain things I'm doing are making me hear things on the line. I wonder if that's actually from the tablet. And I wonder if you can hear that. I hope not. Oh no, sorry, I'm totally missing. Hello. Oh, thanks for joining me. Sorry, I'm missing the chat. So thank you. Thank you for watching. So yeah, sorry if I'm not making a lot of sense. It helps if you've seen previous live streams. So yes. So just talking about movies and games that are inspiring possible tabletop role-playing settings. So post-apocalyptic former Soviet Union is the thing that seemed, and I guess it is former because it's the destruction. It's post everything. But yeah, well, I'm glad you joined me. Thank you for having me as background. I think that's where I do best. So now I'm just drawing snacks. Yeah, so if this is the first time you've watched, this is a weekly live stream that I do while I draw my cartoon. So I just kind of talk about what's going on. So either other illustration work or other things that I'm doing, or mostly the tabletop podcast that I work on called Idle Red Hands. So we're always kind of testing new games and coming up with our own kind of original ideas to present the gaming group with. So I hope that's not too confusing. Yeah, I think coming into the middle of any of my conversations, any of my talk must be confusing. Background. So my background is originally fine art that turned into animation, and then cartoons. So I did a lot of kind of flash animation back in the day, some film animation, some comic book work. Now mostly I'm doing this cartoon as my main output. I still do personal comics and the occasional animation job. I did a lot of flash animation back in the day because that was the thing that paid the best and people were looking for. But yeah, so I worked for Marvel. I did War Machine for a while for Marvel. I had a I got a published kids cartoon in Disney Adventures called Level Up, which is about video game kids. And yeah, mostly. So I originally went to school for painting and drawing and had the high-minded kind of gallery artist idea, and quickly realized I'm not brave and intelligent enough to make a career in that or whatever it takes, and found animation. And this was in Chicago, the School of the Art Institute in Chicago. Then moved over to the animation department and really liked the kind of collaboration and working together. And then also studying like film sound and things to put soundtracks on cartoons. So and this is all traditional, hand-drawn camera stand, the Oxbury, stand for shooting animation. And if you want to do any effects or anything, that's a double exposure, like an overpass, a second pass. And so I learned a lot of things that are completely obsolete now, and kind of had to teach myself digital animation after I graduated. And I started to learn a bit of that in graduate school. So I went to graduate school at Cal Arts in Southern California, and learned a little bit more digital animation, but also that was experimental animation. So some interactive, and also a lot of computers. That was where I did most of the computer work, or learned most of the computer work. And unfortunately, it was still back in the day where all art schools were all Mac based. So all the computer labs were Macs everywhere. And I had one after undergraduate. I bought myself a Mac. But then I learned, once you're looking to get a job, and especially if you're doing things just like graphic design and advertising and things, PC. There's a lot of PC. A lot of the not the most elite places are all PC based. So I had to learn Windows fast, which was frustrating. And I think it's got to be a frustration for a lot of independent freelance artists to stick with Apple, to stay in the kind of Mac world, because it's expensive. And quickly, it's kind of like Macs to me feel like luxury cars. Like once they're a little bit old, they really start to show their age. Like they start to show their age and how badly they work and how many problems you have with memory and things very quickly. So yeah, so I lived in Los Angeles for like 10 years doing animation and comics and things, and then moved to Japan around 2010, and I've just been doing this. I run a art gallery here and work on the podcast, and then do my cartoons and things. And there's a lot of shows to sell comics and stuff in Japan. So I've been doing bilingual comics. So I have worked with a translator and write the story, and then have kind of two versions of the comic. And because you have to if you're going to have things read the Japanese direction, you're going to have to relay out some of your pages. So that's why I've been working digitally with that. So if you go to citizenspaceman.com, you can see my comics, my bilingual comics, and kind of how that worked. And I think on the website there's only the English. I have to double check. I didn't do a Japanese language site yet. So yeah, hopefully that's interesting. Oh yeah. Oh right. Yeah, 1984. Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's a book. Yeah, that's a book I read a long time ago. Sorry. I'm sorry. I missed I gotta have the chat. I'm working to have a monitor over monitor so I can just glance up and see the chat, and it's a little bit closer. But I have like two tables now, a bigger monitor over, obviously to my right, that I keep turning to read, but it's far enough away that it's harder to read the chat. But the movie that I was talking about the room and the zone, is Tarkovsky's Stalker. So, and that's available. The full version of that is available on YouTube. So if you just search Tarkovsky's Stalker, and in the subtitles, or in the what I call closed captioning, you can just watch with English subtitles. And I think there's a couple other languages available as well. But that is a beautiful, amazing movie. So yeah, definitely, and anything by Tarkovsky is great. It's slow and still and beautiful, but it's very worth watching as far as seeing what he was able to do with film, and maybe, and it's art film, so it's not going to be, that aesthetic is not going to be mainstream, but it's so refreshing after suffering through things on Netflix and things to kind of occupy yourself. It's really frustrating how you get numb and forget how beautiful and how powerful, real simple imagery can be. But yeah, Tarkovsky's Stalker is a good watch, and based on the book Roadside Picnic, which I haven't read, but I need to get a copy, because there's elements of it too that remind me of The Road. I'm blanking on the writer's name of The Road, but it is a journey. It's a journey film, because they're traveling from whatever civilization is to the zone. And one of the characters, is leading and is wise, but it kind of, shows their weakness throughout the trip and their beliefs, Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, so just, watch Stalker if you have a chance. And it's frustrating, I think, if you search Stalker and not Tarkovsky Stalker, there's a ton of like horror movies and things, called Stalker. So, yes. But, okay, so we'll go with that for the first one. I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to save, so I'll just move over to the second one and start blank. Yeah, networking. That's a good. Yeah. So Stalker is a video game as well, and it's based on more the book than the actual movie. But Stalker without periods between each letter. Stalker is the Russian movie from the late 60s. He started in the 60s. It might be early 70s, maybe early 70s. This is very old. But networking, yes. Networking is all. I mean, and that's the benefit of graduate school, and also graduate school is an insane waste of money, insane waste of time. But my timing for my undergraduate to graduate, everything that I learned in undergraduate was so obsolete and so useless in the job market. I think there was only one studio still like using film, still doing like traditional animation, and that was like Encyclopedia Britannica. That employed a lot of former School of the Art Institute people. But everyone else was like already moving towards digital, and I had, no ability. So that's why I decided to do a master's degree and learn kind of things that are more contemporary. And CalArts is a great feeder school for Los Angeles. I mean, I'm sure, and there's a lot of people that are very biased against, CalArts Mafia and all that kind of CalArts house style. Like people accuse the styles that get popular at CalArts of kind of taking over, what Cartoon Network and different places, different studios produce. But you cannot underestimate, as far as networking, that situation, and having CalArts on your resume gets you interviewed in a lot of situations where you otherwise might have not made it out of the, maybe pile. But networking, I would recommend if you're doing comics or anything print, Comic-Cons, especially San Diego, I don't know, it's changed a lot, but maybe like the Ape Expo or any indie cons or anything, if you're publishing things, meeting people there, whoever you have your table next to, talking to people and putting yourself out there. I'm not a good talker as far as, being real charming face-to-face and making good connections, but you just kind of push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And the people that you meet, just be nice to everybody and don't make any judgments. And you'll be surprised how things keep coming up. Like, people get hired into different businesses. They remember you, they remember what you do or what your style is like, and they'll send you an email and say, hey, are you interested in doing this? I had a few jobs in LA that my former coworkers, like, we just bounced back and forth sending each other job leads and things for a long time. So, a workplace, getting into a design department or a workplace can give you a lot, as long as it's not one of those real dead-end places. If it's people that this is just kind of a temporary stop and they have bigger dreams and they're all going to kind of move on, but not like a service bureau or something where people are just like, they're not going anywhere, they just need the paycheck. But then putting yourself out there, because that's how I got the Disney cartoon or comics. I guess it was a 2/3 page of a Disney Adventures page. So there was a third at the bottom that was a little viewer submitted thing, and then my comic was on top of that. And I ran into the editor for Disney Adventures at San Diego Comic-Con, because I had a table there in the small press area, and he was a fan of this cartoon that I'm drawing now, Domestic Abuse, because it was back in the day too when there wasn't a million web cartoons, so your comics and things could show up a little bit easier in lists and searches and things. And the editor was a fan of the cartoon and said, hey, let's talk about doing something for the magazine, because at the time, before Disney Adventures disappeared, they had incredible creative freedom. They weren't just drawing, the comics versions of whatever was a popular release. It hadn't quite become what it is now, or what Disney Comics is now, where it's all just Pirates of the Caribbean and Frozen and whatever, people just having to draw those characters as expanded stories. That he had freedom to kind of look for artists that he liked and artists that he admired, more famous people, and let them either do something original or kind of play with a Disney property and do something, very unique with Mickey and Donald or something. So they had a huge, they had a good budget because of the advertising. And the advertising was kids advertising, so it's candy and video games and everything. And I think they had big pressure. I don't have this as firsthand, so this is kind of like third-hand information. But parents groups and everything were really putting a lot of pressure on these kids magazines to stop advertising the trashy food and the snacks and the sugary stuff in McDonald's and whatever. So that was a huge part of what gave them the freedom and the budget to hire anybody that they wanted and be creatively kind of free and just let kids, tell them what they liked and what they didn't like. So I did that for like 3 years until 2007, I think. 2005, 6, and 7. And but that all came from just having a table at San Diego Comic-Con in the small press, which is like, back then it was like $200. It was real cheap, and you can easily make that money back in 5 days. Just selling my self-printed little postcard size, or sometimes even like business card size, little hand-folded comics collections of my domestic abuse cartoons. And so just put yourself out there. And it's, I think it's probably harder than ever, but you'll be surprised the kind of connections that you make. Because I met Shannon Wheeler at the small, well, he was always at everything. He was always at San Diego and always at the Small Press Expo in San Francisco. And he was always so kind. He would always, recognize me, and we would talk for a little bit. And he was the one that sent Go Comics over to me, to their scout that was at these shows. So that's how Domestic Abuse got syndicated by Go Comics, is because I was friends with the guy that drew Too Much Coffee Man, and now that guy is having his cartoons published in the New Yorker. So I mean, just like, yeah, another level he's moved up to. But on the way up, he was really kind and really nurturing, and helped a lot of people. That was always something, like, he would always kind of send people over to your table, or always think of you in certain ways. So I think, and I don't know how much it's changed. I mean, I've been out of the U.S. for so long, but that community that kind of happens when you do smaller shows, and you have you're in self-published comics, or you're doing something that is kind of, there's a group of people with the same kind of ambitions. It's really, supporting each other, and kind of like, hey, did you see this guy's work, is something that happens a lot. And I don't know with the advent of all this internet stuff and people being daily cartoon Instagram people, if that's changed a lot, because the last show that I actually attended was WonderCon, which is south of LA, like in OC somewhere. WonderCon, and there was a weird kind of thing going on where everybody was an internet artist, and everybody had a very similar digital style. Nobody looked very unique, and everybody kind of kept to themselves. They were real, they knew each other, they knew of each other, but they didn't have the friendliness and the kind of support of that, self-made indie scene that existed in the late 90s, early 2000s that I remember. But just tell people whose work you like that you like their work, and be fans of them, and buy their books, and support each other creatively, and then the work stuff will come. Like, as people get successful, as people's work gets noticed and carries them to another level, that may be an opportunity, for you to have work sent your way, or somebody says, you're looking for another feature. Well, I know a guy that does this. So yeah, just be out there as much as possible. And I don't know, because I never experienced, I kind of had the choice for graduate school, NYU or Cal Arts, and it's a whole drama, whole tragedy that I think I talked about a year ago, a whole tragedy that I did end up at NYU. But I have a feeling that the West Coast scene was a little more supportive, and a little friendlier, and warmer, and less competitive. So I think that I benefited from that, which is weird, because I'm not that type, but the people around me kind of like made that really a nice thing, a nice community. But oh, nice. Networking for computer science. I mean, if you want to do programming for games or whatever, and just hook up with somebody that does something that you can't do or not as good at, and focus on what you're good at, whether it's like, doing programming for things, the world of things. But networking is hard. But I mean, working together with people on projects that you see their talent, and hopefully they see your ability, and it may carry you into something else, or your collaboration will actually get noticed and become successful. And nothing's ever a waste of time, as long as you're pushing yourself, using your skill, and learning new things. Even if it doesn't become something you get paid for or whatever, it's always, I think, worth it, because you do get rewarded for collaborating with people and working hard with them. But the networking thing is just without being too apparent with just being friendly. Just get yourself out there and let people know who you are or what you do in whatever field you're working in. So if it's programming, computer science and programming, find out exactly kind of where you fit in and what you want to do, and meet those people. Go to those conferences, or like, if you're interested in game programming, go to the GDC, the Game Developer Convention, and those places where like-minded people are, and and just try stuff. When I think programmer, I'm just thinking gaming. But, they have the game jams and things where people like get together and produce a game based on some parameters within like 24 hours or 48 hours, like those kinds of things where people are just getting together and showing off, what they can do, or kind of pushing themselves. Those kinds of things are always worth trying. Yeah, but networking is rough, because I remember, I had a lot of younger people in San Diego once I started getting published and things, like, trying to, just leaving stuff. We didn't really have any, there wasn't anything in common with what we were doing or anything, but they were just giving everybody their stuff. And that was good, but it was real obvious that they were only doing it, for, hey, so, hook me up, give me, if you have a paying job, or if you've got a connection to Disney or Marvel, you gotta, tell them about me. And we didn't have any other relationship besides them giving me a book or a DVD of their work. But what was I going to say? But there's there was somebody that I admired very much, and I think this is more of an Asian style. I see this in Japan a lot more. There's some people that they create something, if they're going to do a convention or something, some unique thing that is going to be their, the kind of thing they're going to give you to interact. It's not their portfolio. It's a book or a game or animation or something that they've done that's not obviously like, oh, here, look at my, look at my skills. Here's my reel. Like, they're not trying to show you their reel or their resume or anything. They just give you something. So go around and just introduce yourself to everyone in a situation, and just say, oh, here, I'd like you to have this. This is something that I worked on that I'm, really proud of, or whatever. And it's not, it is self-promotion, but it doesn't feel like that because it's actually something you've done. So there was an illustrator that when I was in San Diego, he literally just went down every row of the show that had artists, and he just introduced himself, and he gave everybody a book, and a beautiful book that he had done. And I never forgot his name, and I always saw his work showing up in other places, and he got a lot of connections from that, because it was just so friendly and nice. And at the Japanese shows, that's what a lot of people do, is they create a free sheet, like a black and white, maybe just photocopied sheet with just a cute little joke and some, their personal information, but just like some example of their work that's just fun. And it's a giveaway, and you give it to every customer that comes by, but you also give it to everybody. And I forget what they call it, but you give it to everybody that you interact with. So if you do something and you can put it, even if you can put it on some kind of cute media, or you can have a business card that has like a QR code or something that links to something that's not just your resume and information, but actually something creative or something that you've worked on. Like, I really want to share this. That's a really good way to kind of just introduce yourself to people, and so they don't feel like you're just dropping, your reel and your resume and your information in their lap. That's a good technique. Yeah. Discord. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a lot of organizing of people on Discord. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the local kind of tabletop gaming group has a big Discord here in Japan. And yeah, then every type of category, people that want to sell their board games, or people that are looking for somebody to play with, or looking for a meetup. Finding a Discord of people that are doing what you're doing is definitely good. And you'll find, you'll make some connections, and you'll find some worthwhile people on there. I mean, there may be a lot of people that you have to, kind of tolerate that you don't have anything in common with. You're just like, okay. But you never know. I mean, you never know where stuff comes from. But yeah, that is definitely a good thing to do. I mean, face-to-face, and this may be my age talking, but face-to-face is always best, because if you have a chance to shake somebody's hand or just look them in the eye and they get to know you, they know you're a real person, you matter more, and they'll think of you more as, maybe somebody more reliable or somebody that actually exists. With if you only meet somebody through Discord or, some sort of online way, they can just disappear, or they can not be who they say they are, or be misrepresenting themselves, and that can be a thing that just basically makes people trust you a little bit less. I mean, I've just always had better experience and a more lasting impression face to face. But definitely, Discord would be a good place to start, and there may be actual ways to find meetups or to interact with people in the real world from your connections that you've made through Discord. Yeah, but that's a really good point. Everything is, I for the podcast that I work on, I set up a Discord, but we only used it to do interviews. Like if we wanted to interview somebody that was remote, then we just use the Discord audio for there. So it's not a very there's not much going on that Discord. But I really should take advantage of that, because that does, you definitely form a community that way, and then people can network very well through that. But as I'm saying, it's not the same thing. Like, it's not the same thing as actually having worked with somebody or having been in the same physical space as somebody. Things can happen. I mean, I've definitely done work for people that I've never seen. It's only been through email. But that kind of stuff just kind of disappears very easily too. It's not, it doesn't feel as substantial or as reliable. I don't know. And then maybe that's because they see us that way as well. They see the people on the other end as, well, they could disappear. What am I doing? Wow. Yeah, definitely keep in touch with everybody that you went to school with, even if you didn't, on a personal level, you don't really like them, because you never know. And you never know. That's always the surprising thing, is you don't know the people that like you. Like, a lot of people are, socially awkward. So if they like you, or they think that you're talented or whatever, they may never say that, and you may never have a hint of that in your interactions with them. But just staying in touch and being friendly, you realize, wow, I guess they thought I was okay because they, recommended me for this, or they got in touch with me after school, after we were out of school. But it's more and more challenging, but there's also more and more ways to get employed and to interact with people and to, find your way around. So as long as you have worked, sorry about all this clicking, I'm just curious about what's hidden in all these layers. But as long as you've honestly worked to make yourself good at what you do, whether it's programming or art or whatever, you'll definitely be rewarded by keeping in touch with people. I'm just trying to think. The year that I was at CalArts was a little bit of an awkward year. The graduate department kind of got invaded by kids that were all in one group coming from another school, which I will not name, and going to graduate school all together. So there was kind of a weird clique from the East Coast that transplanted themselves. So that kind of screwed up the social dynamic a little bit. But but I met some very talented people there. And the teachers, the faculty was amazing. That's the biggest thing about that school is, And they hire a lot of people, a lot of industry, people that are working in the industry that just come after work and teach evening classes. And so for graduate school, that's perfect, especially if you're working during the day. You can attend their classes. And I saw some, really amazing animators talk, and just, oof. Yeah, that was good stuff. Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining me as I ramble on and try to draw this cartoon. I don't know if I'm going to... maybe. I don't think I've played with the picture plane like this so much before. Not this. Yeah, but good luck. Good luck. And I think, especially working in computers, that the world online is definitely a way to be connected, because that's how most people function. Like, most people are going to just exist in that way. And don't be afraid to take some weird jobs that don't pay very well at the beginning, if you're going to do like freelance or contract stuff, just to see kind of what it's like. And you also need to test your ability, because the thing that I noticed very much is what you do in school, you're producing at a pretty high level, and you're absorbing a lot of new information and learning a lot of new things in school. But once you get out of school, how you're expected to perform professionally blows your mind. It's like, wow, I have to work that hard, and I have to get that fast and that good, especially at anything digital. I feel that fast and that good at what I'm doing. You get a little bit of a wake up call when you see like what's expected of you and how you need to produce in the professional world. And that's the difference between people that can and can't kind of handle that transition, especially with creative work. Because if you're used to working at your own pace, and you've got a situation like school that just lets you kind of, you can make that your next semester's project if you're not finished yet. If you have more flexibility, you don't have that in the professional world, and you have to, with creative work, force yourself to, when you're not in the mood, to do something, to actually produce and come up with ideas. And I think it's probably the same thing with programming. When you're just baked and you're just totally burnt out, you're still going to have to be able to work. You're still going to have to be able to function and push yourself harder than you ever realized. But you can build up those muscles pretty quick. You can, perform at the kind of level that people are expecting of you. But also be careful of being burnt out, because the more you perform, the more gets demanded. So, in a lot of situations, if you're giving people too much and they ask for more, it's going to be really hard on you physically and mentally. But that's just been my experience with things. All right. Yeah, I'm still... Hey, that's the same layer. Still just trying to come up with ideas. Well, yeah, and thanks for watching or listening. I appreciate having a bit of an audience. It's been a while. I was kind of off. I kind of got off schedule around the holidays for a variety of reasons, and it's hard to get back on schedule with streaming once you're free from it. But also, I was kind of very irregularly finishing the cartoon, so I think it's this combination of like a regular stream and then having it kind of force me to regularly produce, I think works really well. Otherwise, it gets really random. And and just being able to talk at people and try to keep an eye on their chat is a good thing. So I apologize if you say something in the chat and I completely miss it, and I don't know how long it's set before it disappears. So if I've missed something and you had a question, please please hit me up again. As I said, I'll fix my setup here so I'm actually just able to look almost at the camera and see the chat. That would be ideal, so that I wasn't always looking away. Oh, and my phone's got all the chat too. But that's even smaller. Yeah, I haven't perfected this, even though I've done this for a couple of years. I still haven't come up with a real comfortable way to do it. But if you go back to the earliest archive of this chat, you will learn that I have improved a lot, because my earliest microphone and camera placement was shockingly bad. And I figured out that good audio is important. Because I think I was like literally sitting under an air conditioner with a web camera behind me, talking away from it. Oh, so young, so foolish. Oh. But I will, if I do get that setting for the post-apocalyptic kind of Russian-inspired RPG, I will post that with the podcast. So anybody, even if you're not into tabletop RPGs, anybody that wants to read kind of what that setting is, because I think it'll be a combination of those different properties of Roadside Picnic, Metro 2033, and Stalker, the movie. And then also, kind of mechanics ideas from the games as well. I like the money in Metro. It's bullets. So there was kind of before the apocalypse, before the fall, there was, of course, military manufactured ammunition, and a much higher quality than anybody's able to do now, because all the facilities were just wiped out. So military grade ammunition becomes the currency that people trade in, because everyone needs bullets and they're the most valuable thing. So I thought that was it's different. I hadn't seen that before. Maybe no, that was just pure trade. I was thinking like Road Warrior, but that was all pure trading. But I like bullets as money in an unfriendly post-apocalyptic setting. Yeah, because what is it? In Fallout, it's bottle caps. It's Nuka-Cola bottle. Whoa, it's Nuka-Cola bottle caps. I don't think I'm using that. So I like when they come up with alternative currencies in games. Okay, if I'm gonna, these are disparate random things, but I gotta focus on if I want to use this whole or not. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Sometimes like islands or counters will have a cutout, like a trash, like so when you're cutting things or whatever, a cutting board, you just kind of push them through the little hole in the counter in the trash. But I don't know if I want to be that obvious in what this is. And what else? What else would be here that I don't have? Maybe not more boxes. Oh yeah, no problem. I enjoy the messages, and I'll just kind of ramble on about various things. So as long as it's not too distracting, I don't want to distract you from your calculus. But I'll just ramble on. But hopefully I said something interesting, or at least inspiring. I mean, and that kind of gets you motivated, because if you're coming to the end of school, you got to take advantage of the time, because the money you spent, went to all of the education, but it's also that networking. You do pay for just access to people that are doing the same things that you're going to be doing and going into the same industry, the same kind of job market that you are. And you do help each other. I mean, unless you went to school with some real bastards, you do end up always helping each other, because there's always more work, there's always more work than any one company or one studio or one, person can handle. So yeah, there will always be need for some support. And it's good to just, when you stay in touch with people and everyone goes out and gets their job, then if you really hate your job, if you're staying in touch with people, they'll tell you when there's job openings or opportunities at their company, and gives you a chance to kind of move up without having to, put in as much time. I mean, I think, especially in America, just changing companies is the new promotion. If you're not going to get a promotion at your company, if you just change jobs, especially if headhunters have noticed you, you'll be surprised how many times you change jobs. And each time, hopefully, for more money and a better position. All right. And more boxes. Yeah, what else is going to be near? Not this. Maybe more kitchen type things. Oh yeah, maybe like a sliced lemon would make a little more sense. I'm curious how much that traffic picks up. I'm right by a pretty busy highway, so I always wonder how much of the tuned cars and loud scooters. It's a lot of scooters, and the scooters in Japan get humongous. You can put like 2 or 3 people on them like comfortably, but they're also very loud. This is like a combat knife, not a kitchen knife. They get really loud. Yeah, not as many motorcycles as there are scooters here. And I think because the license, I think just like in the US, the license class is different. So if you have a driver's license, you can drive a scooter, but if you have a driver's license for a car, you can't automatically. You have to have a separate license for a motorcycle. So less common because it's harder. I don't know. Yeah, it's looking a little wrong too. I think this hole is actually the wrong thing. It's too extreme, the perspective. So, actually, let me distort this. It's not going. Maybe like that. Okay. Yeah. One more thing. I don't know composition wise how this is gonna look either. I might want to spread things out. I like the little box at the edge and maybe the little lemon at the edge too, but All right. So. Okay, yeah, I think that works. That's better. All right. Yeah, notice a lot of people, I think that's why I talk, is to fill the silence, but a lot of people have music, have like background, like especially the creative streams when they're drawing, but I'm streaming to both Twitch and YouTube, and I think YouTube will just kill my stream if I'm playing like copyrighted music. So unless I play the Battle Hymn of the Republic or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I think I'll have trouble with YouTube. I think Twitch is more cool about that, but yeah, so it might be better to have something going on in the background, because then I won't be so inclined to ramble. I don't know if that's part of the charm of this stream or not. Okay, so I think both of these are, yeah, again, I've got the weird 2 different scales. All right, I think that works. Okay, so finished the drawing, so let's go to the comments. Yeah, so I'll take a look. So here's an awkward transition. Hello. There we go. Boom. Okay, so here is the comments section. So I just take a look at stuff I did last week and then try some random stuff from previous years to see if anybody said anything particularly hateful and cruel in the comment section, which they used to with quite a lot of frequency, but recently I think people have just decided to be nicer. And also they started the membership, the kind of premium membership thing for Go Comics, so the members are much kinder. Okay, so last week was he worried about the experimentation going on. Whoops. Experimentation going on at the bar. 8 likes and a couple of pins, but no comments. And let's see what's going on. The strip before that. Oh, sorry. Internet's a little slow. Hopefully. Yeah, I haven't dropped any frames, so the frames are okay. It's just that my internet is not. Wow. Or maybe the website. Yikes. Wow. Okay, well, while we're waiting for this to load. Okay, so this is for the 21st. They mostly bonded on the topic of roasting, so it's peanuts and coffee, if that's not clear enough. And no comments either, but some likes. I think that one went up late, so that may be why. And I think, let's see if we did this one last week. The 16th. Yeah, the suggestion to trade lids left both of them pondering the hilarious consequences. Yummy latex chip dip. And show all comments. Oh, just the one. Oh, yeah. Okay, so now is the time where we see if we can find some random abuse from past strips. Okay, so here's November 21st, 2005. And look at my wonderful colander pattern there. That's not done on a computer, is it? Yeah, because originally this strip was done Sharpie marker on just paper and scanned. And then I would color it in Photoshop. And then once I got the Cintiq, I just decided to do 100% digital. So that's why the scale and kind of the look of some of the things has changed a little bit, because with the Sharpie, why I decided to go with that at the beginning was I had to commit to every line that I put down. And so it's just going to have to look like that. It's a little wonky looking, or it's not quite exactly what I wanted, but I have to commit to, and that's a good cartooning thing. Just kind of committing to your lines, and but then coloring it in Photoshop, I could give it some nice weight and some help it stand out more by coloring it. But then when I moved to digital, of course, you've got the undo right there. You're just doing Control Z all the time. So I redraw a lot of lines and stuff that I probably shouldn't. I should be more disciplined with sticking to my lines. But the colander... okay, yeah. Thanks, yeah, the website. So Go Comics might be having a slow day, or a busy day, I guess it could be. But, yeah, so one like and no comments. Okay, let's take another trip down Random Lane. April 7th, 2006. Once the cap... Oh, I think I even read the last one. Once the cap to the spray paint was filled with fruit punch, nothing was ever the same again. All right, and so yeah, you can see this is the much more wonky style of drawing on paper. And I think even I had to be careful because, of course, the marker absorbs into the paper. If you don't move quickly, it gets pretty ugly and bleeds a little. So you moved a lot faster, and that's why you got these crazy results. But then I had original art. Now I don't have original art. I have digital. So one comment, and who the hell lives like this? The roommate from hell is the comment. Well, good. It's just a... Yes, so people are shocked by who would ever do such a thing. All right, and we're going back to 2006, April 6th. The act of brewing left them with little energy for much else. The comment, let's see, juxtapose an S and a C for the B and oh my. C, an S and a C. Okay. What word is he referring to? Okay, yes, I don't know. And oh my. Okay. Well, that's a random act. I don't see any more S's. Okay, one more. That is an odd one. Is he talking about the... No, not the name. Oh, here's more boxes. The uninsured packages just felt a little more dangerous. Oh, here we go. Yeah, 2019, so a bunch of activity. So, here we go. So, The Sopranos shipping. All right. Call it a surprise package. Nope, they search the package marked fragile, handle with care. That's the one that gets the beaten. Yeah. True. Yeah, exactly. All right. Packages. Okay, one more. I'm not procrastinating. Oh, brewing, screwing. Thank you. Oh, jeez. See, that's why you're in computer science and I'm not. I'm doing cartooning. Brewing. Oh, I see. S and a C, brewing and screwing. Yeah, and that was the joke. So I guess he kind of got the vibe. That was the joke that I was making, is being too tired for anything else, is like a married couple's sex life. Thank you so much for explaining to me my own comments. That's sad. All right. So the oncoming traffic, it was the oncoming traffic that took most of the happy out of the birthday. So birthday cake in the middle of the road. Don't worry, somebody will give you a ride. Yes. Katina Cooper was a wonderful commenter back in the day, almost 5 years ago. But, all right, so that gives you a little taste. And I still haven't hit the real mean ones yet. One of these days, I'm going to get a real streak of people saying, what is this? I don't get this. I hate you. Like people, but maybe this got deleted too. I don't know how they moderate, if Go Comics moderates the comments. But it was real abusive at the beginning. People, and I think people were, because my cartoon is kind of a different style from a lot of the classic syndicated stuff they have on here, because I think they've got Calvin and Hobbes and Doonesbury and Boondocks and stuff that has the newspaper pacing and tone and everything, and people noticed that and they hated this. So yeah, that was a little bit of a adjustment period. But yeah, but more recently, in recent times, recent years, the especially the premium people that so they're subscribing, like they're paying a monthly subscription for all of Go Comics. They're real good. All right, so here's another clumsy transition back to Photoshop. All right. Okay. Yeah, thanks again for the explanation of what I was missing there. Okay, so now let's color these, and then we'll do the little convenience store segment. What color is this? I'm going to go with some kind of blue. But what? I think I'm gonna have to do a gradation, so maybe I'll just fill this with white for now, and then do some kind of gradation to help. Yeah, to help give me the idea of the depth, I'll kind of do a little dark from above. All right. So, something else. All right. So make this look more like a package of something. And maybe not that gray, but not bright white either. All right. Yeah, I think that works. And let's do a handle for the knife. Oh, funny thing about knives, I met someone that was a knife salesman, the Japanese, like a high-end Japanese knife company. And the funny thing is, German people are obsessed with Japanese knives, and Japanese people are obsessed with German knives. So always the Japanese knife shop is full of German tourists, and I guess in Germany, the knife shops are full of Japanese tourists. So they admire each other's cutlery. I thought that was very funny, because both of them, make amazing knives, and you never appreciate, I guess, what you have easy access to, or yeah, it's just funny. I guess the exotic, because Japanese people definitely fetishize European things in a lot of ways. You can tell that from the settings. Whoops, the settings for some of the Ghibli movies and things. They're this like fantasy Europe. Even if they're not based on books, they like that setting. So you get a lot of that. All right. Some texture. The lemon. Okay, not sure how bright this is. Maybe no. Okay. And then let's see if we can do a decent, oops, this level. We want some kind of gradient on the little pass through here. Yeah, probably about that subtle. Don't want to go crazy. Yeah. That works. Yeah. If my computer's lagging, these shortcuts stop working. I don't like that about Photoshop. Uh-oh. Photoshop is going to hang. All right. And this sometimes is when Photoshop just blinks out of existence. Let's see how we're doing here. Yeah, I had a stream once where I guess I just needed to restart and reload everything, and there was an update. I think that it screwed things up. And over the course of an hour, Photoshop crashed like 11 times, but I was able to actually draw the cartoon like within that, between those crashing sessions. Okay, what are we not doing here? Yeah, I'm still stuck on the gradient. Oh, there we go. Okay, well, that was weird. Yeah, it's still slow. If there's anything running in the background. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we're back. Whoa, no. There we go. I don't want to fill that with a gradient. That'll be a nightmare. All right, and then put this lemon kind of on the counter. All right, so is there, maybe for contrast, I got just, yeah, like a thin line here. And I would, if the counter had a color and wasn't just white, do like a, I don't want to do that. Do another highlight on that opposing edge, but because it's white, there's no way to make that work. Yeah, a little bit. Okay. And then come on. Okay. That works. And I think the lemon's bright enough. Does this need a, yeah, maybe. Okay, so there we go. Now for some eyes. Where am I here? Maybe 60. All right. All right. That's another one of those random things. So I've told this story many times already, but I still love the guy that read through one of my whole books and then said, I'm so glad that you showed some restraint and didn't put some cheesy face on all of the objects in your cartoons. And I guess he hadn't noticed all the tiny eyes, the minimalist faces, actually maybe on the blade, minimalist faces that I was doing, and it was very embarrassing. I didn't want to correct him because I wanted to receive a compliment instead of an insult. Yeah, and that was the thing that I was so amazed by when I was interacting directly with people, reading the cartoons. I loved when people laughed at them, but I was always so surprised when people were insulted or like frustrated. Like if they didn't understand it, they acted like I thought I was smarter than them, or this was like some intelligence competition or something. And if you don't get a joke, it's just because you didn't watch the same TV shows that I did growing up or whatever. It doesn't mean anything. And but people would get really insulted if I don't get it, and then you explain it to them if they seem to be asking for an explanation, and nothing is a more sure death of humor than someone explaining a joke. It's like, oh, that's okay, that's what that meant, huh? It's terrible. right. Okay, so there's one. Actually, I think I'll go with something else, maybe more beer-like. And a lot of snack colors. That looks filthy. Let's not color it like that. Be a little warmer. That's better. A little brighter pretzel color. Yeah, so it doesn't look like chocolate. And then a very orange cracker. Maybe cheesier looking. There we go. All right, and then the bag I'll do some kind of red. All right. So I'll do, I guess the metal in the can, and then the lining of the bag. Lining of the bag I think will be brighter. Okay. And as you probably noticed, I run out of passion and energy after the first hour of doing this. And I mostly just talk about what's happening in Photoshop. There we go. All right. And some gold color. Okay. Oh, it's going to take forever to write these because I have no idea. I don't have a strong image of what I'm doing. All right. And then like this. All right. Whoop. Okay. Oh, yes, so this is gonna be more like this. All right, so I have to see how much I need to brighten this to make it look a little shinier. Yeah. Oh. I watched I think I talked about this. I watched that Dracula series on Netflix recently, and actually I watched the first 2 episodes, and then it's only 3 episodes, and first 2, and then I hit the third, and what they did in the third was so ridiculous. I just abandoned. I just bailed on it, and then just recently I figured out I'll go back and see, because a friend of mine said that they liked what they did with it. So I went back to kind of see what happened. It's got by the same people that did Sherlock, the Sherlock BBC, or I'm not sure if it was BBC, but the UK Sherlock series. And that, I guess, was an update, like brought Sherlock in modern times. And so that's a big spoiler, but that's what they do with Dracula. And I really loved the, when it seemed to be following the story from the original novel, and like, wow, that's amazing to see a less kind of Baroque, over the top, like the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula was just crazy. So to see something that's following the story or the novel, but is kind of, has an updated look, and they're going to maybe be able to expand and elaborate. And they kind of changed some elements of the book to make it a little more interesting. And then they did that weird jump, and yeah, I just couldn't hang with it. And I still don't like it. I still don't like what they did. I thought it was too cute. They're being a little too cute about it. But there were some interesting things, and I thought that the actor that they cast for Dracula was good. He got too cute. Everything was just too cute. The writing was, we're so clever. And I don't know. I don't watch that much British television, so I don't know if that's a common problem with British TV thinking it's smarter than it is, or it's just, I don't know. But wasn't in love with that idea. They tried to do some updating, and it just felt kind of odd. And it felt original. I definitely, it felt original what they were doing, and that's not an easy task in this day and age. But at the same time, was it just original to be original? It was not good. Like, it didn't resonate very well. I don't know, because I think you have to do something with a Dracula idea, and all that it was just like, Dracula is the patriarchy, and we're going to take him down. Because they switched all of his adversaries basically to women, or his main adversary, Van Helsing, to a woman. And I don't know if that helped the tone very much. It was kind of odd, because it became more about just decoding the myth of Dracula and how it's just nonsense, and okay, everything that came before isn't 100% nonsense, or we wouldn't know about it. So I don't know. I didn't like that at all. And I'm glad I went back to see why I don't like it, because then I hate when you don't watch something all the way through because you get turned off by it, and then somebody wants you to explain why why you didn't like it, and you don't have really enough examples of what was so terribly wrong. But now I do. So the first 2 episodes are interesting for Dracula, and the third is odd. And I don't know if they were trying to set up a series with it, or no, I guess they weren't. No, it definitely finishes. It definitely has an ending. So if you want a complete new style Dracula story, take a look at that. But I didn't love it. This one too, yeah. So it looks a little more printed. All right. Okay, so what happens after I've done all the artwork? Yeah, very different looking. When I've done all the artwork, is a quick trip to the Japanese convenience store. Oh, and this is some patrons' favorite part, so I can't resist. So here we go with the convenience store. Oh, wait, let me see here. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, can explain something. What's so what's special about some fine arts, especially like the blue rectangle? So who is the blue rectangle? Yeah. So very simply, in fine art, I'm trying to go back to my art history. Yeah, in fine art, when things started to get to the point where they were just painting fields of color, and some of it got a little bit interesting because it was after the kind of, I think in the 50s and 60s, like people just started doing geometric shapes, and once you get into the era, like Andy Warhol was really good at kind of expressing this, but once you get into the era of mechanical reproduction of images, much more cheaply and much more effectively, so that you can, magazines became full color and very gorgeous, and photography was, just vibrant and intense. And once you get into the age of mechanical reproduction of images, so I'm not just talking about like photography, because painting, realistic painting existed beyond photography, and photorealism is like a school of painting. But when it becomes just abstract, where a canvas is just a single color or it's a shape, like in Chicago they have an artist who I'm blanking on, but he's basically like triangles and circles of solid bright shape. You're starting to talk about the kind of formal qualities of the picture plane, and it's non-representational. Once art becomes abstract, it's not about representation, physical representation. It's not about showing up an image of something. Oh, that's a dog, that's a girl, that's a building. It's more about, playing with the idea of why you would portray something on a wall and what that is. So if you're portraying something like a rectangle will have a lot of things that it suggests, like a door or a window, but it's not. It's nothing. It just so the color, if a rectangle is blue, that might be suggesting that you're creating something. And art became, I think, beyond once you were admiring the skill, the skill of the painter and the craft of painting, and how well they represented light, or how well they portrayed a form of something. It became more contemplative, and when things are abstracted to just geometric shapes, it kind of forces you to deal with, well, why would you do this? I mean, it's decorative, so that's, once something looks decorative in fine art, it does make you question a lot of things about why would you put something on a wall, why would you be portraying something like that. And a lot of times, not a lot of times, occasionally, the artist will be kind, and a title will kind of give you a focus. So I don't specifically know the piece of art you're referring to, but if you're portraying something like a blue rectangle, and they call it door, or they call it window, or they call it vision or something, that gives you a kind of a place to start thinking about what the artist's intent. So it became a lot about intent, and then you had people playing with that idea of just taking a men's urinal and turning it upside down and putting it in a gallery. Is that art? Does that make it art because you're looking at a familiar object from another perspective? And I think that dealing with the picture plane and the space, so that the artists that I'm thinking about in Chicago would do kind of trapezoids and shapes that distorted. So you're looking at a wall, and there's corners of a room, but the shape in the room doesn't, it's not like every other frame that is, perfectly, parallel and perpendicular to all of the lines of a room. It would be skewed, and that would give you a strange sense of why is this imbalanced, and why are they choosing to make this space and make this form that irregular? Like, is it movement? Is it, what exactly is the intent? And that's when I think a lot of more laymen or regular people just start calling bullshit on modern art, because they're like, it doesn't mean anything. It's just nonsense, and artist intent doesn't matter, because if you don't get it, if you don't see, if it's not obvious, if the artist's intent isn't obvious, then what's the point? It's a completely meaningless gesture. And I think that's where I fell away when I was very young, fell away from gallery art, because I didn't think my ideas were strong enough, or that I would ever have a big enough idea that it would warrant someone trying to figure it out. But I like the communication. I like the communication of visual art, and that's where cartooning kind of, first animation, because it was dynamic and moving and you felt like you were doing something important. But then comics and cartoons are just a direct communication, and they're not as intense or, make you question your humanity or whatever. But if you make somebody laugh or make somebody like, wow, that's sad or that's odd, if you kind of can resonate some idea with them, I think that's valuable, and I think that's interesting. So just small communication on a more pedestrian level. I can't think of a good word. On a more common level, just like relating to people and having some idea or thought from your life or from your experience resonate with something that they have been through, that's enough. And that ends up being enough for me. And I don't have to, blow somebody away with how my new way of considering how you deal with a picture plane, or how you portray a body, or, how you use color. And, so there's a ramble for you. Oh, Barnett Newman. Yeah. Barnett Newman. I think that's actually the artist. Let me see here. Wait. I think that's actually the artist that I was just talking about. I think that's who is in the Art Institute of Chicago. There, I'm forgetting. I've lost so many names. I've forgotten more names than I think I've even learned. But yeah, once you get to the point of abstraction, it does start to become a little tricky, and then it's all about artist's intent. I think that was who that was. Yeah, because there was like a larger gallery that had, kind of a walkway. So it's 2 floors, and it was open, and then there were paintings on both the upper and lower floor. So you could actually, from the first floor, you could see up, and you could see like kind of 2 levels of paintings. And it used to be that I think it was all Barnett Newman kind of shapes and abstraction that was on that second floor, and that worked really well because they were very easy to see. You don't want to go stick your nose in his painting because it's just a color. It's just a geometric shape. Let me see. Oh, no. If I'm thinking, no, let's see. Yeah, so he's closer to the, so what happened kind of after that? Oh, yeah. So in his work, so it must not be who I'm thinking of, but in his work more than others, it is like dealing with the picture plane, and there is the quality of paint, like there is the artist's hand, because he'll disrupt, he'll disrupt the rectangle, the shape of the canvas, with a line, and the line has some hand of the artist and some quality, so that it is either looking like a burn or a drip or a seam or an edge. And the artist that I really like, that's similar to this, it's an abstract expressionist, and I'm totally blanking on his name, but he does also the color field. He was a color field painter, and I think Barnett Newman is actually might be considered that as well. But the yes, who am I looking at here? Come on. Oh, I guess there's a lot of them. I'm thinking the most famous that I'm thinking of is not coming up. Rothko. Jeez, man. David Rothko? Rothko. So Rothko is the same sort of big pieces of color, but they're very, the touch of the artist and the kind of subtlety of the color. So a museum that was set up for his work is just called a church, and it's basically, I think it's like a hexagon, or the building just has a lot of planes that have, individual paintings of his that you just sit in front of, because it's a color. So the color, I think they're lit from maybe natural light from skylights. There's something really amazing about this. They're lit from natural light, so the natural light is hitting the color, the main color of the painting, of the canvas, and that's coloring the light that you're seeing. That's coloring the room. So a cool blue painting is basically in a cool blue space, but he has applied the paint very deliberately, so you can just kind of stare at one of those paintings and just see things, like when you're looking into clouds or things, it becomes a very like hypnotic experience. And a lot of what's interesting about painting is edge to edge, and that's like the first thing that you learn is this color doesn't matter until this color is there. So, you don't know how yellow this yellow is until you put this green against it, or until it's against this gray. And then it moves forward or comes back, or it looks hot or it looks cold. And so, playing with those ideas in the picture plane is very important. And he did a lot of that, made things they're very peaceful paintings that you just kind of experience, that you just kind of like stand in front of and just absorb, because the paint seems to be very soaked in to the canvas, and it has this soft strangeness. And if it's lit properly in its presentation, you're being affected by whatever, because they're large canvases. I don't see any measurement on here, but a lot of them are very large canvases, so they're a superhuman scale. They're a little bit above like human scale. So you're kind of existing in that space with what the artist has done with that color. And so a lot of color field stuff starts to suggest landscape and things. Like it starts to suggest things in the real world. But a lot of pure color field work is, and Barnett Newman is color field, is doing things with the picture plane, and everything, like a movie should be. Everything that's on that canvas is deliberate, and like everything that's in a movie, everything you see and everything you hear is chosen to be there, and it's supposed to tell you something. And so the choice of color and the choice of why things are opposing other things, and why it would be a black line instead of a white line, it's deliberate, and it's kind of making you make a decision about what you're looking at. And so, so artist's intent and kind of experience of the canvas. And I think like Jackson Pollock, like the drip paintings, those were experience paintings that you stand in front of and just try to figure out like what plane and what you're actually looking at, like what, because you're not looking at brush marks, you're looking at drips, and they have a dynamic shape to them, and they have layers, because it's several layers of this kind of drip paint, and it looks similar to the drop cloth of the house painter that just painted your neighbor's house. But at the same time, there's intent, and it's deliberate, and you're supposed to have a kind of experience in front of that. And always, when you look at this art, you have to look at it in context. So it's the context of kind of the history of painting and what people did. Before photography, people were doing, the only way to reproduce yourself was to have someone draw a portrait of you or paint a portrait of you. And that was the only way that you existed, an image of you existed, or, sculpted you in marble or whatever. And so that was something that required money and status. And so the only portrait painting we see is portraits of rich and famous and powerful people. But then as photography starts to come down to the level where anybody can do it, then capturing someone's image is not that rarefied, is not that important. And now we're in the age where people take 10,000 pictures of their kids in a week, and so images of yourself mean nothing. But so that's the photographic image. But in painting, like what became important and what people were looking at, and people were looking at, okay, now there's photography, but we're still painting, and we can capture light better than any camera has been able to do. And so light can produce emotion, sunsets, things that happen during sunsets, and those kind of way that light catches the edge of things and contrasts things, people weren't able to capture with photography yet, because it was back in that time, like early 19th century, it was the long exposure. So you just kind of opened the cap and waited a few minutes and put the cap back on, so you weren't getting any subtlety in photography. And so that's what painting went for, is light. And but then as painting is just constantly trying to keep itself relevant and trying to stay at the edge of kind of thinking and being able to suggest ideas or be able to make you question something. And so that art in the 60s, or it gets very political, or it gets there's certain purposes that it serves. So it always has to be looked at in context. And it's just like when I'm talking about color against color on a canvas, it's kind of idea against idea. A lot of times painting is a reaction, like the style that people decide to paint in is a reaction to what they were taught or what came before them or what they think is important now that nobody understands. So Art History 101, I think you could get some sort of certificate if you've listened to that whole thing. But but it does become frustrating, because I think people that are just want to work commercially and are pure illustrators or kind of plastic commercial artists don't have any time for that nonsense. But that's the power of painting and art, is that it's transcendent, and it can suggest things in real simple ways, on real simple terms, just paint on canvas, that go so far beyond what you think is you're capable of showing in a painted or worked canvas. So that's a very rambling answer, but it's worth, if something really frustrates you, like look up Cy Twombly if you want to be frustrated. If something really frustrates you, it's probably worth looking at what critics say, and looking at what school this was and why they think this is important, to kind of understand why would somebody do something like this. Because that was the thing when any relatives would visit, and I had free access to the museum, so I'd walk them through the museum, and if it wasn't traditional salon, impressionist painting, or things that, oh, that's a woman holding a baby, if it wasn't something like that, I'd just get really negative, frustrated reactions, and I'd always have to do long-winded explanations like that. But and it's constantly, just like I'm talking about with people that get frustrated, they don't get my joke on my cartoon, and they're like, why don't I get this? Do you think I'm smarter? You're smarter than me, or am I stupid? Am I missing something? Whatever. It's not. It's just that it's the intent. I'm trying to be funny, and it's real easy to miss with a joke, to miss with humor, or miss with kind of an idea or concept. It's easy to miss. Because if people don't have your mindset, or coming from a very different, all their cultural things are informed differently, or whatever, or just the weird English, if I'm using an odd word combination, and you miss the joke, and that's my fault. It's not anybody reading's fault. I have kind of failed doing what I'm trying to do, is communicate. If you don't understand the words I'm saying, then there's no communication. If you understand the idea, then the cartoon is completely useless. So the people that get upset, it's a little bit of a valid anger, because you're not doing your job. But but that's that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's good to think about, because those ideas and that sort of thing can inform, even though it doesn't seem like it could be related at all or whatever, looking at images and thinking about why people made paintings a certain way, why people did things a certain way, can open your thinking up in computer science. When you're trying to, solve a programming problem, you have to do something. You need something to do something. You're being able to kind of like step away from real practical or real common approaches, and come at something from a very different angle, from a very different viewpoint, can make you a much more powerful, programmer or designer or anything. Just being able to, make yourself uncomfortable and come at something from a different angle, I think it's a valuable skill in, just about any endeavor, especially when you're either doing problem solving or, creative work, which creative work can kind of technically be, considered problem solving because you've got an idea that you need to get across. All right. Okay. Sorry. so I caught your message right before. Okay. So convenience store. So let's switch over real quick to the convenience store. Okay. So that little chime that you heard is the Family Mart little sensor. The little door sensor plays that little song, and that was a Sharp, I think, made an electronic doorbell in the 70s that made that sound, and so that's the sound that they adopted because I guess they bought those doorbells for their convenience stores, and it became associated with that brand. So as you can see on either side of me is the different convenience stores here in Japan, and so I try to bring something every week. This is not such a big thing, but I've done this a couple times before, so I may as well keep up with it. So there's a new Coke in Japan, and we now have strawberry Coke. I have no idea if these things actually make it to North America. I think the constantly changing kind of limited edition thing is Japanese people are obsessed with limited edition. If it's only going to be around for a few minutes, for a few weeks, then it's very exciting and you must buy it. So we've had peach Coke and apple Coke was the most recent one, and now we have strawberry Coke. So we're going to do a little live on stream taste test of strawberry Coke. And apple Coke, I think you can actually see evidence of me enjoying that. Yeah, I think I did a lemon Coke with vitamins, the Coke energy drink, and apple Coke. There were like 3 Coke products that were kind of all out and new to the market. So here's one more new one. And so it's just basically going to be Coca-Cola with strawberry. And cherry works well with Coke, but does strawberry? I don't know. It's Coke. Oh, and then strawberry. Oh, right. It's like an aftertaste. It smells like strawberry, very strong, but it doesn't taste like strawberry until after. So it's kind of like if you had a piece of strawberry candy in your mouth and you took a drink of Coca-Cola, but not real strawberry, not a real strawberry taste, a very fake strawberry taste, of course. Yeah, it's nothing like cherry, how cherry kind of blends with that. And apple was amazing because it tasted like apple pie, because I guess there's cinnamon or something similar, nutmeg or something in the Coca-Cola recipe. And mixed with apple, it tastes like apple pie filling. So that was a really good combination. This is not good. This is 2 separate tastes. They don't seem to blend together. I taste Coke and then I just taste strawberry after, and it's very sweet, very, very sweet. Yeah. It's not great. I think it's probably like peach. It just doesn't quite match. And yeah, there's nothing different about it. It's kind of the same. It's just plus strawberry. Yeah, the calories and everything are the same. And it's sponsoring the Olympics as always. But so strawberry Coke. So I'm not sure if you will ever see this in your lifetime. But I don't know. It's if you really love strawberry, I guess it's worth it. But the Coca-Cola just kind of gets in the way. You just have to wait through the Coke taste to taste strawberry. Wow. One more thing I wanted to mention that is a survival tip for convenience stores in Japan, because Japan has a really, really bad habit of mixing in artificial sweeteners in everything. To cut the calories of something, they will put sugar in it, or corn syrup, or whatever sweetener they're going to use, and then they'll also cut it 50% with artificial sweetener to lower the calories. And for a lot of girls' drinks, because a lot of things are very gendered in Japan, so there'll be obviously a man's version and then the kind of girls' fruity or sweet or softer version. In a lot of women's drinks, they put artificial sweetener, and they use the fruit flavor to try to hide it. So actually, I don't think this is going to work, but I'll give you a quick look. I don't think this is going to work. But if you ever see, let me see if I can see this on the stream? Okay, no, I don't think I'm going to be able to. Oh, wait, there it goes. Okay. Yes, okay. Kind of. I don't know if you can read that. There it is. Okay, so if you ever see, I'm totally backwards here. If you see this kanji right here for sweet, the kanji for sweet right there, followed by artificial or not real or simulated, and then after that is katakana for aspartame. So the I think they call it, what is it called? Asparfemu K and sucrose. So they'll have that kanji, which I hope you could see in there. The kanji for sweet, which looks like just like a little door, and kanji for sweet, and then the kanji after is the added artificial sweeteners, and then in parentheses they'll have in katakana probably the Western drug names of those sweeteners. So that was aspartame and sucrose, and it is real old school stuff. It's like stuff they used to put in Tab or Fresca or whatever in the 60s and 70s in the US. It's garbage sweetener and it tastes really, really bad. So in the Japanese convenience store, if the per 100 milliliters, if the calories of a soda or a juice are less than 40, there's artificial sweetener in it, unless it's water. And if you look on the ingredients and you see that little sweet symbol followed by the kanji for not for added sweetener, I'm not sure exactly what they're saying, but then in parentheses after that it's going to explain the chemical sugar that they put in there. And they started, some drinks like use stevia and some of the more updated stuff, but most of the time it's that aspartame and the sucrose, and it tastes terrible. It tastes like old Diet Coke from the 70s. So survival tip for convenience store Japan. All right. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. The soda variations. Yeah. So Japan is vending machine crazy as well. So, they're constantly looking for new things to put in vending machines. So, yeah, if you really like ramen, you have to come to Japan and have Japanese ramen. There's good ramen in America and like San Francisco and LA and stuff. There's some good ramen shops, but the ramen is insane here. It's so good. And you might have to wait in line for an hour to get some good ramen, because the shops, once they get a good reputation, get popular, they're very busy. But maybe a no vote on strawberry Coke, even though I'm going to have to probably finish it. And just look out for that artificial sugar, because they'll put it in everything, especially canned coffee, a lot of canned coffee. And when you heat up that artificial sugar, it tastes even worse. So hot canned coffee has a lot of it in it, and anything that has mango or is looks like a fruity girl type version of a drink, it's usually has the fake sugar in it. So that's just something I wish somebody would have told me once upon a time. So I'm letting you know. All right, so back to the drawing, and let's do some writing. This is going to be the hardest part. Yeah, ramen. Oh, that sounds good. There's a nice ramen shop right next door. Maybe I'll try that. One of my favorite ones just shut down. It's amazing. They look busy all the time, and then just suddenly the shop will just disappear. And then you'll have some that are just here for decades. But yeah, easy come, easy go sometimes. But you don't know. I mean, the economics might be because the price of ingredients and stuff fluctuates so crazy in Japan that maybe there's just literally not enough seats in the restaurant to actually make a profit. Like, you can't feed enough people fast enough, because a lot of the shops here can be pretty small. It's like 6 or 10 seats at a counter, and that's it. That's the entire restaurant. So there's no way you can get people through fast enough. All right. Okay, so let's try. How are we doing here? Still in frame. Yeah, I remember last time I was in Los Angeles, I saw one of those giant machines where you can do the choose all your options for your soda, so you can choose a type of soda and like add something to it. And yeah, that's getting crazy. They have those a little bit like Pepsi. Sorry. No, it's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has that in Japan, where you can have Coca-Cola, Canada Dry, or Calpis, which is the Japanese like kind of milky sweet drink, and you can then add a syrup to each one of those. So like grape, lemon, or something else, raspberry, something. There's like three variations of that. That's the only thing I've seen, but we don't have those giant ones, those giant drinks machines like the US has. All right, so what am I doing here? So here's going to be the most painful part, is me trying to write these jokes. They sat in awe. No. A constant source of fascination. Let's see. Fascination, fascinate. I'm gonna have to spell check that. Oh my god. All right. Fascination. So a lot of times the joke comes when like words sound funny together, or like something I was trying to get across. I have there's a phrase kind of pops into my head that makes it sound silly. No, that can't be right. It's got to be this, right? Fascinating. All right. Let's find out right now. Oh, maybe. Yep, that was right. All right. Holy Counter was a constant source of fascination. I think something about disappearing. Yeah, because that's a little too general. Probably the source of recent disappearance. Okay, well, let's switch over here. So this was a mixed. Yeah, see, mix. So I want to. Mixed race is a very sensitive subject in Japan, so of course that popped right into my head when I wanted to say mixed snacks. Assortment. Snacks. Assorted snacks. Let's see. Talk about the assortment never being exactly right. Or, yeah, the sadness of the undesirables of any assortment. Undesirables. Undesirables, that wasn't the... Yeah, undesirables. Well, let's start with the undesirables. The undesirables of any assorted. I keep mistyping. Okay. The undesirables of any assorted snacks. Yeah, not leftovers. I think undesirable is the funnier way. Undecided. Oh. Yes. Yeah, I like that a lot. Trying to get the the sadness, like, it's if I put the eyes in the shadow side, it usually is a more dark mood or more that's the effect. So I think that this is a sad one about the little bits that nobody wants. So I don't know if undesirable gets it across enough. The undesirable. So assorted. The undesirable of assorted snacks. What do I want to do here? Let's see. Undesirable. Okay. I think I got it. All right. Any assorted snack. Created a heartbreaking amount of undesirables. Heartbreaking, is that hyphenated? Any assorted snack created a heartbreaking amount of undesirables. The uneaten. Undesirable. I don't know if that's the right word. Any assorted snack created a heartbreaking amount of uneaten. Not. Yeah, I don't want to repeat uneaten undesirables. Any assorted snack created a heartbreaking amount. Uneaten aftermath. There was heartbreak in the aftermath of any assorted snack. Okay, yeah, so there was always heartbreak in the uneaten aftermath of any assorted snack. Oh. Yikes. All right. I think that does it. Yeah, there we go. There was always heartbreak in the uneaten aftermath of any assorted snack. Yeah, there we go. I think that is the correct wording. There was always heartbreak in the uneaten aftermath of any assorted snack. I think that works. Yeah, it didn't do it. Kind of the guideline that is, if I make myself laugh or have a reaction to it, then it works. So it's just based on my own reaction because I don't really know can't really predict or know anything else. I was heartbreak in the uneaten aftermath. So like that phrase uneaten aftermath, I like that weird combination. It sounds good. So in a weird way, these like one lines, you don't have enough, it's limited. You got to get across an idea and you want the wording to be perfect. So it's a little bit like writing a poem or like a line, it has to be a very perfect sentence, like a sales pitch or something, or, or a joke. A joke has to be very exact. So it is just joke writing. But these jokes aren't super funny. I'm just trying to like have an effect. The hole in the counter was a source of fascination. Okay. Recent disappearances all pointed to the recently discovered hole in the counter. I think that's too clumsy. Let's see. Recently. Recent disappearances. Newly, I guess. Newly discovered. Recent disappearances all pointed to the newly discovered hole in the counter with no W. Recent disappearances all pointed to the newly discovered hole in the counter. Yeah. There's got to be something. I guess it's enough of a mystery. It's just not that funny. What else? Recent appearances all pointed to the newly discovered hole in the counter. The sinister knife. All right. I think that's as good as I'm going to get. Disappearances all pointed to the newly discovered hole in the counter. Yeah, I guess. Because there's enough suspicious objects. Yeah, because there's nothing. I don't want to visually play with that too much, like what they thought was a shadow or what they thought was a way out. So anything recent disappearances? I think that works. I'm just checking my spelling randomly. All right. Newly discovered hole in the counter. I think that works because that's the trash hole without saying it. There was always heartbreak in the uneaten aftermath of any assorted snack. any sort of snacks. Yeah, assorted snacks. Okay. Recent disappearance is all pointed to the newly discovered hole in the counter. Okay, murder mystery. All right. So that is it. So those are the cartoons for this week. So one goes up tonight and one goes up on Thursday. All right. Wow. So this has been a nice one, a nice and long one. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the company. It's nice to have some conversation. I hope it was interesting, not too rambling. But yeah, please come back anytime. And yeah, so thank you so much, Sefioro. It was nice to talk to you. And yeah, stay motivated. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed your last few. Variety, yes. Yeah, I wish there was more everywhere. All right, yes, Japanese soda is pretty great with all of they crave so many different tastes here. Yeah, and trends are, they love changing trends, so it changes very fast. But thank you for joining me, and good luck and stay motivated. Finish your schooling and stay connected to everyone that you've met. Instructors and your classmates alike. You never know who will become incredibly important in your future. But that is it for this week. You can check out the website at abusecartoons.com. That gives you links to everything, the books that I have for sale, and links to basically everything in social media and everything. But you can follow Abuse Cartoons on Twitter at Abuse Cartoons, and also subscribe on YouTube or Twitch to be informed of the stream going live, and also to take a look at the archives. So it's been about 2 years of live streaming. So there's lots to look at. Just don't go back too far because the sound quality doesn't hang in there. But that'll be it for this week. And if you'd like to support this cartoon, please consider visiting patreon.com/abusecartoons. I'd like someday to make this a daily cartoon again. And with your help on Patreon, that is a possibility. So also take a look at gocomics.com/domesticabuse for the entire archive, everything since 2004. So thousands, literally, of these little cartoons, if you enjoy them and want to kind of run through a bunch. And yeah, I thank you. And I will be back again next week at this approximately same time. It varies depending on the schedule, but I try to be as consistent as possible. So either Sunday night or Monday night. And keep studying and pass all of your exams. I will see you again next week. Goodbye.